African Eritrean community, and especially members of Nሓመዱ. This summit reflects years of tireless advocacy, despite 87 formal submissions from Eritreans in the UK. Our voices have not been included in the key parliament inquiry yet, because we have good news later on that I'll be able to share with you guys. But today we begin to change that by centering those who have been ignored and by building new alliances rooted in justice, truth, and accountability. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully share I recently met with the Secretary and Chair of Joint Committee on Human Rights, Lord Alton. They are aware of today's program and they have expressed their interest in its outcomes. We deeply appreciate their openness and hope the summit contributes meaningfully to the broader conversation in the Parliament and beyond. A special welcome goes to our guest speakers from Norway. Clarity of purpose has been nothing but short of heroic in Nሓመዱ, often referred to as the front defenders of justice. These individuals have risked their safety, reputation, and peace of mind to expose the reality of transnational repression here in the UK and around the world. While others stayed silent, they stood firm, organized, peacefully protest, protecting their communities, and demanding accountability for those who abuse power across the border. Their work is a living testament to what it means to stand for dignity and justice, not just for Eritreans, but all people threatened by authoritarian rule. Today's summit would not exist without them, and they continue to inspire growing movement. We also warmly welcome barristers from Temple Garden, Far St. Andrew and Doughty Street Chambers, directors from Fair Square and the Foreign Policy Center, human rights organizations, including Human Rights Solidarity UK, Safeguard Defenders, academic experts from Lancaster University and the Richard Institution, chambers from the NCRI and Hong Kong democracy groups, representatives of UK Parliament, media colleagues from The Guardian, BBC, REPM, Meskat Betna, and Desta Media. And our Eritrean Youth Group and diplomatic representative from Plan A, the diplomatic arm of the Blue Revolution. Let this be a day of connection, collaboration, and renewed moment in the fight for justice and accountability. Welcome, and thank you for being here. And now I invite you to join us in watching a short documentary that captures the lived reality of Eritrea transnational repression through the voices, struggles, and resilience of those who had stood in the front line. This film sets a tone for our discussion today. It honors the courage of our community and reminds us why this work matters deeply, urgently, and globally. Please enjoy the documentary. Thank you.
Thank you. Eritrea is often described as Africa's North Korea. It's been ruled by one man, Isaias Afwerki, since 1991, when it won a war of independence from Ethiopia. There are no national elections, no parliament, no independent judiciary, no free press. Amid ongoing conflict with Ethiopia, the President imposed mandatory national service for all Eritreans.
It's not our own making, it's not been our own choice. We never wanted to go this way, but it's been imposed upon us and we have to survive and live with it. It's not a question of national service or avoiding the national service. You aspire to become someone in this society and have good quality life, you work for that. You don't get it free. People learn it either the easy way or the hard way.
Critics accuse the regime of locking up anyone who opposes it, anyone who tries to flee the country, and anyone who avoids conscription. The President has always publicly denied those charges.
What has changed since the making of this documentary? Sadly, nothing. Eritrea remains one of the most repressive nations in the world. Since 2001, the regime has carried out unlawful arrests of senior government ministers known as the G15, along with journalists and religious leaders, including Abu Antanas, patriarch of the Eritrean Orthodox Church, and Haji Musa, co-founder of the Al-Bia Islamic School. Eritreans continue to flee their beloved country, risking everything for freedom. Abu Antanas died under house arrest. The fate of G15 ministers remains unknown. One symbolic case is that of Dawit Isaaq, a Swedish Eritrean journalist who has been held without trial since 2001, making him one of the longest imprisoned journalists in the world. In 2013, over 360 Eritrean refugees drowned off the coast of Lampedusa in one day. And just last week, more than 4 boats carrying Eritreans sank in the Mediterranean Sea. Even in 2025, under President Isaias Afwerki regime, many Eritreans are still choosing death over life under dictatorship. The Eritrean government, which does not stop at its borders, through a decade-long campaign of transnational repression, it has actively monitored, intimidated, and controlled its diaspora with nearly total impunity. Despite growing global awareness, many governments, including the United Kingdom, have turned a blind eye on transnational repression, allowing these abuses to continue unchecked. The UK's long silence, Eritrean repression in plain sight. For over 30 years, the Eritrean regime has operated through its embassies, especially in London, not covertly like China or Iran, but openly and unapologetically. While other authoritarian states conceal their repression, China with secret police stations, Turkey with shadowy informant networks, Iran behind closed doors threats. In the UK, Eritrea isn't hiding at all. The Eritrean embassy in London functions in plain view as a hub of surveillance. A striking example is a now deleted video showing Yara Tesfaye, head of media and communications at the Eritrean embassy in the UK, interviewing Eritrean ambassador to Juba, Johannes Mikael. In this footage, they are openly explaining how embassies are used to mobilize, monitor, and control the diaspora. This isn't hearsay, these are their own words on camera. Eritrea's playbook is not hidden, it is proudly broadcast, and yet the silence from the governments like the UK continues.
ደግሞ አገገን ጽሁመት ኤርትራዊ ካብቲ ኣብ ውሽጢ ሃገር ዘሎ ፈይኸም ገይሩ ብግብሪ ኣተቃለሱ ኤርትራ 4 ግንባራት ኮይኑ 3 ግንባራት ኣብ ውሽጢ ሃገር ኣለዋ 4 ግንባር ከዓ ኣብ ገገን ኣሎ እዚ መንገዲ መሓወራቱ መንግስቲ ኤርትራ መንገዲ ኤምባስታት ከዓ ንዝሰርዓ ግንባር የመሓድሩ 4 ግንባር alors que nous souhaitons de la mécanisme ça n'est pas ça que je veux travailler avec maintenant dans ce groupe de l'organisation comme des projets.
The supporters of the Eritrean regime abroad enjoy the rights and freedom offered by Western democracies, free speech, education, healthcare, and safety. Yet many of these privileges to undermine the very system that protect them, following orders from a dictatorship that sparks democracy. At the center of this contradiction is Isaias Afwerki, Eritrea's long-ruling madman consistently hostile towards the West and its values. Eritrea was the only African country to vote in favor of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, aligning with regimes that reject diplomacy, the rule of law, and international norms. In August 2023, during an official visit to Moscow, Isaias met Vladimir Putin. His speech, an awkward, rumbling monologue, visibly tested the patience of Russian officials. This was not just a diplomatic embarrassment, It underscores how isolated, delusional, and yet dangerous Eritrea's leadership remains. Figures like Al-Said, Eritrea's leading propagandist, glorify Isaiah's not through culture, but through ideological indoctrination at diaspora festivals. These events mock democratic values, intimidate justice seekers, and rally support for regimes built on fear. This is how transnational repression takes root. When a regime openly mocks democracy and aligns with authoritarians like the regime, it sends a dangerous signal that its supporters, even while protected by democracy, can violate it without consequences. The documents showing now on screen are translated express from Hadas Eritrea, published on February 25, 2024. They reveal the chilling truth behind Eritrea's false front in the UK, whose aim is to terrorize the diaspora and silence justice seekers. According to these official publications, First Front representatives received direct orders from senior regime officials, including General Philippos Johannes, head of the Eritrean Armed Forces. These meetings are not held in secret. They are aired on national TV and featured in the state media, serving to intimidate, recruit, and assert the regime's power. Many members of the so-called Fourth Front, including those currently residing in the UK, arrived as asylum seekers, claiming persecution by the Eritrean regime. In reality, some were regime loyalists who fraudulently obtained refugee status. A clear example is the group of 4G representatives we saw earlier. They claimed asylum, secured protection, and then returned to Eritrea, meeting with senior military officials like General Philippos. Their trips were proudly broadcast in Hadas Eritrea and on national TV, directly contradicting their original claims of persecution. After returning from Eritrea to UK, First Front representatives quickly moved to implementing regime instructions. They organized a pro-government event in Camberwell, London, extending the regime influence into the UK diaspora. This is a textbook transnational repression, where individuals having gained asylum with a false claim operate on behalf of an authoritarian state inside a democracy society. In the months leading up to the Camberwell event, Brigadier ንሓመዱ, peaceful protesters had worked with authorities to stop similar regime-linked events. But on December 13, 2023, when Brigadier ንሓመዱ peacefully protested a First Front fundraising event at the Lighthouse Theatre, police allowed the event to go ahead under official protection. Brigadier ንሓመdu protesters, many of them survivors of descendants of Eritrea state violence, were met with police force. 4 were injured, 8 arrested, yet no action was taken against the regime violence. This reflects dangerous blind spot in the UK approach to transnational repression, where human rights defenders are criminalized and agents of repressive regime act with impunity. Members of the justice-seeking community have tried to prove evidences to the police and authorities. These actions expose serious failings in the UK immigration and enforcement system. Despite the evidence, UK authorities, including the Home Office and police, have taken no action, no investigations, no revocations, no accountability. Who are the First Front, you may ask? Those individuals meeting Eritrea's top generals are not ordinary citizens. They are part of a coordinated embassy-linked network once known as Early Blood, and named infamously for harassing and intimidating justice seekers across Europe. Today, they operate under a new name, the Fourth Front. They infiltrate communities, surveil critics, and suppress dissent. At the center is Al-Said, often called Eritrea's Joseph Goebbels, whose propaganda spans from Asmara, Frankfurt, London to the world. But this goes beyond ideology, it's violent repression. Following direct orders from Eritrea, Fourth Front members have continued to harass, bully, and belittle members of Brigadier ንሓመዱ and other justice-seeking Eritreans globally, in daylight and with impunity. This campaign of intimidation is not confined to London only. It has spread to Canada, Seattle, Israel, Sweden, Switzerland, and Germany, where justice seekers receive fear-inducing and provocative messages, often echoing the regime's propaganda line. These tactics are coordinated and amplified by, I will say, the regime chief propagandist whose messaging fuels diaspora aggression. In Israel, justice seekers' Eritreans were hunted and killed by regime loyalists and separate target attacks. 4 people were murdered, not during protests, but while simply going about their everyday lives. 3 were on their way to work, 1 was sitting in a restaurant. Those were not protesters, they were not rioting. They were peaceful individuals targeted solely for their beliefs. Dozens of members of Brigade Nḥamedu, Eritrean asylum seekers, were injured during protests, beaten by regime supporters in a coordinated assault. Many perpetrators remain free, protected by silence and a failure of authority to act. These events are part of a broader dangerous pattern of transnational repression by the Eritrean regime. In response, a grassroots movement emerged. Brigade Nḥamedu, led by Eritrean youth, they organized peaceful protesters and